Hello, welcome to this Better Movement workshop. So today we're going to do similar to where we were last week. We're going to be hitting up the foam roller, we're going to be hitting the massage ball a little bit again. It's obviously really important to be doing this stuff either as part of your training or just in terms of like we're going to do today, kind of a flow of putting stuff together as a sort of a 15-20 minute workout. It improves your quality of movement, so that means that you're not setting yourself up for injury. It also means that you're getting the biggest benefits that you can out of doing your training, which is obviously really important. But again, we don't want to spend hours and hours doing this stuff. It's a kind of a technique to use to increase the benefits that we're getting from the rest of our training. It's not necessarily training in its own right. So like I said, we're going to run it together as a little bit of a flow today, just like I did last week. But if you just want to take out some of the pieces of these sessions, because again we're going to be touching on different body parts, if you just want to focus on those body parts that you feel is going to give you the most benefit, by all means do so. That's kind of the purpose of these workshops, to give you the information that you need to add into your training, to add into your own routines, to get the most benefit out of what you're doing. Okay, so a couple of quick tips. First and foremost, obviously grab your foam roller, your massage ball if you've got them, but you can just use your hands to do this stuff. It's fractionally easier to be using the tools, but if you haven't got them, it really doesn't matter. We can use our hands. And the second thing is, whilst we should be getting a little bit of perhaps discomfort whilst doing this, it shouldn't be massively painful. We're trying to avoid bones, we're trying to avoid joints, that kind of thing. We're getting into the muscle, so it should feel a little bit soft and squashy when we're doing this stuff, but it really shouldn't be like, ouch, 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 I can't take any more pain with that. It should feel like you're getting a really decent deep tissue massage, sports massage, something like that is an equivalent. Okay, so without further ado, let's get straight into it. And like I say, today we're going to be doing lower body predominantly, so we're going to do a little bit into the bum, and then backs of the legs, fronts of the legs, backs of the calves, and a little bit into the feet as well. Okay. Now, when we're doing this, there's loads and loads of kind of muscles and all kinds of stuff going on. So I don't just want you to be thinking about just muscle groups per se, and you'll see people doing like their IT band if they're runners, or into their piriformis, that kind of stuff. I want you to think about muscle groups as a whole around the body. So if you've got the fronts of your legs, the backs of your legs, and the sides of your legs, you've also got the corners, the bits where they kind of come together. So we want to make sure we're touching on as much of your body parts as we possibly can. So we're actually going to move around the foam roller and or the ball and all your hands as we do this. And I'm just going to kind of mix it up as we go along. I'm going to start on the foam roller though. It's kind of easier to get these big movements going on with this. So we start off, we're doing it in the back of the hamstrings here. So all I'm going to do is just push my hands down at the floor. I'm going to gently lift my bum up in the air. I'm just going to roll backwards and forwards. So like I say, we do kind of three things. We're going to spend a minute or so doing these big movements all the way up and down the hamstrings. Now you might need to do this in two halves. You can't quite reach here, do the lower half first, and then move on to the upper half and readjust the body as you go, whatever works for you. I like to do the whole thing as a one. Like I said, don't just be thinking I'm just straight up and down on the back of the leg here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my foot slightly, come on to the outside, kind of the back, outside quarter of the leg, or I can bring my foot onto the inside and just start working on the inside of the thighs a little bit. And what we're doing, we're just looking for these areas that feel tender, feel a little bit tight, and just kind of start getting them warmed up. So I've got one just on the inside above my knee here. I can kind of actually feel that putting a little bit of pressure through my knee. I've been doing some running recently, so that's probably where it's come from. So just for the next minute or so, all I'm going to do is going to spend some time here. So I've dropped my bum down onto the floor now just to release the pressure that the foam roller is putting into this area. But if I want to increase the pressure, I can lift my bum up off the floor. If I want to increase the pressure, I can actually bring my opposite leg over and add a bit more weight in. It's up to you. You put the pressure on that you feel you need, just to start releasing that tension. And like I say, a minute or so. You can spend longer if you want. Pause the video, just crack on working over these areas. Kind of the longer you spend, obviously the better it can become. And then what we're going to do, I'm actually just going to move my foot a little bit as I try to dig into that area. So all I'm doing here is just a little bit of movement. It's actually easier to do this one sitting on a chair because obviously I can get more flexibility through the knee at that point in time. But I tried this on the camera and it involved moving the camera around and generally mucking about. Yeah, so you're looking for as much movement as you can through the knee, and this is enough. I mean, I can still feel this working. I can really feel it pulling at the top there and dropping down. Like I say, so we're just kind of static now on the foam roller and just moving that muscle group. But you'll notice I'm just rotating my foot slightly as I'm doing this, just trying to hit different areas. So these are big muscle groups, backs of the legs, fronts of the legs, into the bum. Big muscle groups we're working on. Now what I'm going to do today, I'm just going to work one side of the body. Yeah, so I'm working on my left hand side here. It's entirely up to you how you do this. Again, you can kind of pause the video here and go and do the equivalent bit on your right leg. Yeah, go and do the hamstrings on your right leg. Personally, I prefer to just do kind of one side of the body, everything first, then swap over onto the other side. So once you've kind of watched this video through once, do everything on it, then jump over onto the other side, that's fine. Or you can pause it here and go into hamstrings on your opposite side. Entirely up to you. Yeah, so back of the hamstrings, and again I'm just feeling a little bit more mobility now through this knee. Okay, we're going to come over now, we're going to hit up the quads, so the front of the body, and on this one you should see what I mean about actually being able to get more flexibility through the knee. Now as I say, I'm sticking on my left hand side, so make sure I actually get the right way around on camera. Yeah, so this time we're going to be off front and kind of come into a plank position here, is what we're looking for. Yeah, but again, you're just going to do these big passes, big movements. Again, you might want to do this in two halves, so kind of do the bottom half. I want the knee to start off with, and then move onto the upper half. Entirely up to you. Yeah, if you can do the whole thing. Do the whole thing. Do it by halves. But like I did before, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this foot around, so I'm kind of coming up the inner thigh a little bit more. Tuck it over. I'm going to roll away from the camera a little bit. Just come up the outer thigh a little bit more. And you can see, just looking for these areas that feel tight, feel tender. So I've kind of got one around about there, just getting into my IT band, a fraction. Don't worry when I come on and do the sides. So again, I'm just going to spend a minute or so hanging out here, digging in a little bit, as much pressure as I can. And again, you can lift the feet up off the floor, bring your opposite leg over, put a little bit more pressure into it, add as much pressure, take as much pressure away as you feel you need to. Spend that little bit of time just kind of releasing through there, and then what we're going to do, I'm going to hold in position, and I'm actually going to move the foot up towards the bum, and back down again. And it's usually at this point that you really start going, ooh, I feel that, yeah. So like I say, as much pressure or as little pressure as you feel you need. Get that good tissue movement going. Go. Okay, so we're relaxed there. So we've done backs of the legs, done fronts of the legs. I'm going to come on to the outer side of the legs. There's not much more in that IT band, but again, I'm still just working on this left leg. If at this point in time you want to pause the video, jump onto that right leg, do so. If you just want to carry on doing the left leg and then work on your opposite leg at a later date, that's fine as well. So this time we're coming up into more of a side plank position, weight coming through the hips, but again, we don't want to be coming up into the hip bone. So sitting up here, neither do we want to be coming all the way down onto the knee joint. I'm just spending some time walking about here. Again, if you want to do the whole thing all the way at the top, all the way at the bottom, it's entirely up to you, or do it in two halves. But we're just making these big movements, yeah, a minute or so. These big movements, we're really getting my IT band here. But again, I'm just gently rolling forwards a little bit to come more towards the front of the quad, or I'm rolling out pretty much onto my side and making sure I'm coming out the sides of the quad. Like I say, into the IT band a little bit more. Just finding these areas that feel tight, just about there. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time, minute or so, Small movements now. Small movements hanging out here. Again, if you need to take a little bit of breather, if you can't kind of keep the pressure here, just relax out of it or bring the opposite hand in. Yeah, it shouldn't be hard work. Like I said last week, we're trying to reduce tension through the body, not increase tension. So if you're really kind of tensed up whilst doing this, you're not really going to be getting the benefits. Again, so I'm just going to hold it there now. And again, I'm just going to kind of flex through that knee. And you can see that as it's going out behind me. Opposite leg's in the way. And this one, particularly for a runner, IT band, absolute. I'll pull some serious faces doing this one. Again, a minute or so, 30 seconds, whatever you can bear. There we go. So, I've done those big areas using the foam roller, but I said, look, we can do this using our hands as well. So, you know, coming in, getting our fingers in, same area, that kind of thing. I tend to do the kind of the inside of the leg with the hands and or a massage ball. I just find it much easier. It's really awkward getting in position on a foam roller to kind of get in there. I don't particularly like that one with a foam roller, so either massage ball or your hands. So we're going to do this one with the hands. But again, it's the same principle on the inside of the thigh now. Yeah, I'm just going to do some big movements. Mine's usually alright. Maybe just coming up onto the quad a little bit, some big movements. Just get it nice and warmed up. And you can use the palm of your hand, use your thumbs, or whatever for areas. Again, and this is just this little area down in here. I was feeling a bit tender. I kind of found it whilst I was doing my quads. So I'm not going to spend hours rolling up and down inside my thighs because I know there's not a lot going on there. And I've just got this little area here. So I'm just going to spend a minute or so really kind of digging my thumbs in here. As much pressure as I feel I can. Just trying to loosen off, but I'm not coming down onto the knee joint. I'm sitting above the knee joint. Spend some time, as long as you feel you need it, kind of pause the video if you need to spend some time here. Ooh, there it is. You just pull these little, ooh, there it is faces, that's kind of fine. If you're screaming in agony, you're getting it wrong. So again, I'm just going to move the foot this time, so I'm just going to kind of hold my thumbs in position, and I can actually just lift my foot up out of the way. Boom. Yeah, so everything's static here. Holding it in position. All I'm doing now is I'm just stretching and contracting that area. There we go. I pretty much got it when I did my quads though, so that's feeling alright. So we've done kind of the all the way around here. Top, so we started off with the back, with the hamstrings, we then moved on to the quads, moved on to the outer side, moved on to the inside. Well, like I say, don't forget, we've kind of got the bits where these connect. Yeah, the kind of the corners, as I tend to call them. Okay, so I'm working across that one side. Now we're going to jump back up into the glutes. We're just going to do one here, and I'm going to use a massage ball for this. Again, it's just that little bit easier using the massage ball, and that's where kind of getting the right tool for the job makes all of this so much more simple. You know, and these really aren't expensive. This was a 50p dog toy ball, so it's not a proper massage ball. Now, for this one, what we're going to be doing again, we're avoiding the bony bits of the hip. What we're going to be doing is kind of sitting back round into the meaty bit of the glutes, the flabby bits if you like, yeah. So we're going to tuck the ball around there, sit on it a little bit, so kind of a similar position to what we were doing with our quad, with our hamstrings, beg your pardon, to the backs of the legs. And again, we're just going to spend time with these big movements, up and down. Now I'm keeping my leg fairly straight at the moment. What we're going to do, we're going to increase the pressure as we go along. Again, you just need to readjust it every now and again. So if this doesn't feel like it's working too much, what we'll do is to bring the foot, so this is under my left bum cheek, so I'm bringing my left foot across my right knee. It just opens up that kind of piriformis area a little bit more. Also lifted my bum up off the floor a touch and really started now to kind of get into that piriformis area. And I'm kind of going side to side here because that's the direction the muscle I'm trying to get worked on sits. Not going up and down so much. Again, a minute or so just doing these big passes across it, and then what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to increase the intensity again, so I'm bending my legs up in the chair. You can see here how it's really kind of flexing at my hip, opening up through the backs of the hips there. I'm just going to do these little movements. Oh, just there. Just there on the piriformis. Again, if that feels like too much, drop the foot down. A little bit less pressure, or if that feels like too much, straighten the legs out. Yeah, and you'll find that that pressure releases. Yeah, small movements as I move away. I'm drifting towards the camera. Sometimes I find you end up going across the entire living room doing this stuff. There we go. Again, this one's actually really, really tricky to get. But what we're going to do is basically just going to sit in position, and I'm just going to push the knee down towards the floor and back again. Yeah, so knee down towards the floor. Oh, there it is, and back again. Like I say, you can kind of follow along with this as a flow just to kind of get everything loosened up and mobile through that lower body, or you can take out the bits that you feel are going to be most beneficial to you for a warm-up. So a lot of this stuff, particularly for a runner, really, really good exercises to be doing pre-run, post-run. But yeah, don't spend ages doing it. 5 minutes maybe, pick a couple of areas to work on, maybe spend a little bit longer after your run. Yeah, 10-15 minutes as part of your cool down can be really, really good. You'll identify these areas and you'll know that you're going to need to work on them. So I know I've got this little bit on the inside of my knee, just in here. That's kind of where I'm doing a lot of my work at the moment. Not doing hours rolling up and down my quads or my IT band, which is feeling okay at the moment. Yeah. So we've done down to the knee so far here. I'm not going to do loads in the hips. Generally, piriformis is good enough. So calves next. Yeah. Now I'm going to go with a massage ball again for this, but you can use your fingers, you can use a foam roller. We've gone from big muscle groups up here, or relatively big muscle groups. We're moving down into smaller muscle groups. So using something smaller to dig into those, it's just more effective at the end of the day. So again, all I'm going to do is I'm going to sit that ball back of my calf somewhere. I'm going to lift my bum up off the floor. So very, very similar to what I was doing with my hamstrings. And again, you might find it easy to go from hamstrings straight down to calves. That's absolutely legitimate, because you're in the same sort of position here, just kind of move the foam roller. I prefer doing kind of big muscle groups first, getting those released, switched off before I start moving down to the smaller muscle groups, but it doesn't really matter. Personal preference. Personal preference. Again, we're just doing these big movements, trying to find these tight areas, and you notice as you get down closer towards the feet, obviously you run out of muscle. It gets down to being pretty much pure tendon, ligament, bone. So just be careful as you're moving down towards the bottom of the legs there. So again, I've just identified somewhere there, just sitting just between my probably my gastroc and my soleus, between those two muscles. I'm just going to spend a little bit of time. So maybe it's perineal. A little bit of time there. Just trying to release it. Again, I'm just going to kind of move my foot inwards and outwards. Point the toes towards the ceiling. Drop them all the way to the inside, or point them so that my foot is pretty much horizontal to the floor now. Just find those areas again. Just try to relax. Try to relax. And this one, nice and easy. We're going to pin that ball in position. It's disappeared. It's still there. Okay. We'll pin that ball in position, and this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my foot. I'm really going to pull those toes back, and then push them away. Pull back and push away. I'll make circles with them. Again, really kind of digging into that slightly tight area, just trying to get it loosened up and a bit more mobile. Minute or so, take as long as you want. Yeah. Doing sort of somewhere between 3, 5, 7 minutes probably max on any one particular area is more than enough, but as long as you do it consistently, yeah, twice a day, morning and evening, if you've got the time, much more beneficial than, you know, one big hour-long foam rolling session once a week sort of thing. Yeah, so little and often with this stuff is the best way to do it. So calves, again, we can come around, we can do the front of the body, front of the anterior tib a little bit, kind of shin splinty area for those of you who get shin splints, that kind of area. Again, I've not got issues there at the moment, so I'm not going to do that, but you can either use the ball, just roll up and down on it, get your fingers in, yeah, just give it a squish, move that foot around here. So find the areas on you that feel tight, that feel tender, and do some work in there. Last one, bottom of the feet. If anybody's ever been for a foot massage, you know just how amazing this is, and there's this whole reflexology idea. I'm not too sure how much I believe of it, but you know, it exists as a thing. It's your thing, fine, but a foot massage, it's a really, really great thing. And this one particularly, so I spent a lot of time barefoot. A really interesting article recently just about how much more clever being barefoot makes you. Thank you for that one, cuz, if you're watching. I spent a lot of time barefoot, and this one's really, really nice just to kind of get the bottom of the foot. Plantar fasciitis, if anybody's ever suffered from that, really, really good one for this. But again, I'm just doing these big passes. Ball's drifting away again. Doing these big passes across the bottom of my foot. So from sort of the heel far up as I can. Again, just trying to keep that foot relaxed as I do it. Find these areas. So I've got one just about there. And do some little movements here. Yeah, I said as we're moving into smaller muscles, using a smaller point of force, so a smaller ball rather than a foam roller, for example. Particularly when we're getting it with our feet, using our hands can be great. So I'm actually going to swap over to my hands now. Come in. I'm really going to kind of dig in. So it's just sitting just in here. My foot aren't too grubby today. I'm just sitting in there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pin that in position. So I'm going to hold pressure through this thumb, and I'm just going to squish my feet. Can you? Maybe you don't want it, but my feet are just going crunch, crunch. That's how I'm doing this a little bit. Just as that fascia is trying to fight back, release it. Toes going click. Again, we squish up, stretch out. Loads and loads of kind of fascia and bone and all sorts of stuff, so it's actually quite tough to break down and get nice and supple, but really, really good this one if you do a lot of running. Yeah, there you go. So all I've done is my left leg. I haven't done every single muscle group on there. I've only spent about 3 minutes on those areas, but it's still taken sort of 20 minutes to go through that, so you can appreciate all of a sudden this is building up into like a 40-minute marathon foam rolling session as I go to do my other leg. You've not got time for a workout then. Yeah? If you've only got 30 minutes to get a workout in, you don't want to be spending hours on a foam roller doing tissue quality. Little and often, like I say, little and often is the best way. So if you've got a massage ball, kick your shoes off at work, and when you're sitting at the desk, have that massage ball under the foot. You can be doing some work there. Give yourself 5 minutes every now and again just to get the hands on and do some work. Yeah, really, really beneficial. So if you want to jump on now, follow back through basically from the start of the video and work onto that opposite leg. Crack on with doing that one. If you've been bouncing backwards and forwards, you'll have basically finished by this point in time. Or like I said at the start, pull out of this what you need to take away. So as you're going along and you're identifying these areas that feel tight, that feel stiff, that make you pull that ooh face, that's kind of what we're looking for. Work on those areas, guys. Yeah, don't spend 20 minutes foam rolling your quads and the backs of your hamstrings if they feel fine. Yeah, you're wasting your time doing so. That's not what this is about. Okay. Hope you've enjoyed it. I will catch you all next week for the next Better Movement workshop. Any questions, any queries between now and then, drop them in the comments.